Well, hello. Welcome back to another exciting edition of Coffee with Stephen. And before I take my glasses off, many of you know that Sandy has been out at Front Site with a number of Artemis participants. And then right at this moment, she's actually in Germany looking at some new technology. And we'll be going over that in future blogs. But I just did get an update, and I would like to congratulate Loretta, Craig, Jean, and Tom for all getting distinguished graduate in their pistol class. Well done, guys. And Jean, a special shout out to you for winning the shoot-off. And Moby, well done at getting DG in the rifle course. Thank you guys, all of you, for representing Artemis as well as you do. Now, the subject of this week's blog is called Protecting the Collective. There has been a tremendous amount of violent rhetoric coming from the collectivists over the last couple of weeks, especially, and oddly enough, as we move towards the midterm election. And the thing that really got me thinking about this was a statement that former Attorney General, former Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States, Eric Holder, had made during a speech last week. He was channeling Michelle Obama, and she had made a comment a couple of years back that when they go low, we go high. Sort of an anti-violent rhetoric type thing. He altered that by saying when they go low, we kick them. Functionally an incitement to violence. And we've seen fringe elements of the collectivists beginning violent actions. We saw it in elevators in the Capitol building. We saw it in restaurants in Washington, D.C., chasing senators and other congressmen out of their dinners. We saw it in its most egregious form during a coordinated attack during a baseball game where a number of individuals were injured and one congressman almost lost his life. I suspect that this type of rhetoric is going to continue, and the types of results that are going to be developed from this rhetoric is somewhat inevitable. And this is effectively par for the course. I somewhat understand why. There are literally trillions of dollars at stake here. It's not just the collectivists that sit in the seats of power. It's all of the collectivist industrial complex that bases itself on the ability to utilize the bureaucracy of both the state and federal governments for the benefits of clients. And those clients oftentimes are multi-industrial complexes. Things like Chevron and Exxon and all of the other types of large-scale companies that have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo. It's people like me, lawyers, accountants, people that essentially act as mandarins to help people navigate the Byzantine Empire that is the federal complex or the state complexes. Now, pardon me, in addition to that, there's a methodology that we use to persuade people to our side. We can persuade people through one of two mechanisms. Number one is through the veracity of our speech. It's the persuasiveness of our arguments. It's the illumination that we're able to provide to our audience. The other one is through violence or the threat of violence. It's basically all you've got. And in a civil society, we eschew violence for persuasiveness. Now, this does not mean that it's an equal playing field. Sometimes persuasiveness can be coercive persuasiveness. I have more money than you do, and because I have more money than you do, I can go ahead and I can utilize that money to force you into making decisions that you might not otherwise have made. Well, we understand that. That's the nature of the world. What we will not tolerate is the use of physical violence as a means of persuading others to do our bidding. Now, the government does that. The government always has implicit in it the threat of violence. If you don't do what we say, people with guns are going to take away your liberty. And if you still refuse to behave, we might ultimately kill you. So that implicit threat of violence is always there. Now, as this paradigm begins to crumble among the collectivists, they're turning to violence as a means of securing a political objective. Unfortunately, I don't see it ending anytime soon. And the one solace that we can take from it is that because they've laid bare their agenda, it's because they're scared. In any event, read the blog. I hope you enjoy it. As always, train constantly, train consistently, train repetitively, and above all else, train with purpose. Until next week when we have coffee together again, stay safe.